All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, in person and online. It is January 30th at 6:35 p.m., and we are going to go ahead and get started. We are here to talk about the Maryland 27 Sidewalk Additions project on Ridge Road, also known as Maryland 27, right around the corner. We will be discussing phase two and phase three portions of the project tonight. For those of us joining online on Zoom, please make sure you stay on mute. Also, that your cameras are off. That way we can make sure that the stream doesn't have any buffering issues. Whoa. And then to ask a question, once we get to the question portion of the presentation, please click reactions and use the raise hand button. And for those joining us on the phone, press *9 to raise your hand and then *6 to unmute yourself. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and the video of the presentation will be posted online after the meeting. If you do not want your voice or video to be recorded as a part of this presentation, please make sure, again, that your microphone and camera are turned off and that you use the chat option to ask any questions during the question portion of the presentation. Just to introduce myself, my name is Kevin Min. I am the project manager for this project here in Montgomery County, Department of Transportation. I am joined by Rebecca Park, sitting here in front of me. Also from the design consultants of Shalati Associates, we have Moyasser Mohammed and Norman in the back. Also Veronica sitting onto the side there. And moving ahead, I will go ahead and hand off the microphone to Moyasser to go over the project.
Thanks, Kevin. Good evening, everybody. As Kevin introduced me, my name is Moyasser Mohammed. I'm the Civil Engineering Department Manager at Shalati Associates, and we the engineer of record for Montgomery County. And I have my colleague with me, and also Edith in the back. So she's the one who signed you guys in. So we'll start talking about the project. So the first slide we're talking about is the outline. As you can see here, we have kind of going to discuss in this probably like hour and a half about the project purpose, the project background, the project overview, and project cost estimate, and project schedule, and we'll end with question and answer. So after we finish, everybody feel free to kind of come into the podium here and say your name, and if you wish, your address, and ask the question. Address is not mandatory. If you don't want to feel saying your address, it's up to you. But that's kind of where we're going to master that. As you can see, this slide right here and also here, I'm going to turn it just for the purpose of demonstration. There is phase three, and phase two. It's a continuation of phase one that's done, but we'll get to that in a second, on Oak Road. Oak Drive. Phase two is starting here at the end of this intersection and continues to the Damascus High School. And the other phase three is starting from Oak Northern intersection up to Landing Place. And as we're going to go through the presentation, you will see the rest of the, jumping back and forth. Here's the purpose of the project. So as I said, extending from the northern intersection of Oak Drive to the existing sidewalk at Damascus High School. And phase three extend from southern intersection at Oak to the existing sidewalk. And we need to provide a continuous safe pedestrian path, because right now it's not continuous. There's certain segments of the street doesn't have sidewalk. So the purpose, we need to have a continuous sidewalk safe for all pedestrians and all bikers. The project overview, this project is a part of the master plan for Damascus, the city of Damascus for 2006 and Montgomery County for 2018. So this has been studied before, and as of the master plan, now it's time for us to make the design and implementation. The project, as I said, phase one, which is Oak Drive, some of the gentlemen was asking earlier. This is designed in 2020 and done on 2022, constructed. That's the segment with Oak Drive right here. Now we're doing phase two and three combined. which is, we call them north and south, just for the north and south section. And at this moment, we finished the 35% design. Our company does the 35% design back in fall 2024. And we'll explain in detail when we get to the schedule later on. You can see where we're at this point. The project is funded completely. Montgomery County funded the project for design and construction at this moment. The project overview, as I said, we are at the preliminary, so the preliminary engineering design for phase 2 and 3 been done. Means earth, kind of like geotechnical reports, soil boring. Maybe you guys seen some, if you're familiar with the area, live in the area, you've seen some aggers came out, done some boring. We done some survey. That's our team. And these are important for us to kind of have a thorough and complete understanding of the soil condition for kind of designing standpoint. After this 35%, we, as you see, we are here in the public meeting. We're going to continue with the final design and construction, but there's some steps I'm going to explain in detail when we get there. The existing condition right now, if you go outside, the road is kind of two lane with shoulder, and it varies from 40 mile. For the speed limit is 40 mile per hour, and the right of way is from 40 feet to 140 feet. So along the segment, right now there's discontinuous sidewalk. There's lack of crosswalk or striping. There's also unsafe kind of pedestrian path. So for us and the county, we make sure we need to make a product that's safe for everyone. And it's the zoning is kind of mixed use. So in this areas, there's different type of zoning. The design consideration, we follow Montgomery County Complete Street Guideline. And as according to that Complete Street Guideline, this road is called County Connector. So the county connector, if you go look up the Montgomery County Design Guideline, it has a kind of specific design width, and we'll get into that in the next slide. So the target speed limit is 40 miles per hour. We're not changing the speed limit. The travel lane will be minimum 11 feet. So we also not intended to change the travel lane at all. Yeah, and 11 feet, I'm sorry. And the sidewalk, that's where we're putting the sidewalk. So it's gonna be varies between 5 to 6 feet wide. We have to do a lot of stormwater management work because we initiating new impervious, and so we're gonna put new inlets. We also will have to do some utility work because we need to make maximize some manholes and outfalls. We do also some landscaping work because there's many trees we need to cut and put new trees as per the park and planning and the county requirement, and some drainage work. But the purpose of the work, we're not closing the road. We're not doing any closure to the travel lanes. This here, as to this side, this is we call it north, north. This is south. The people with us in the room can see this is the south. And on the top here, you see this is north, which is whatever convenient to look at here or on the screen. You'll see in top existing condition. Right now, we have the 11 feet minimum each side. We have shoulders. These shoulders could be driven, like bikers can drive on them, but it's not safe. It's not has imprint. There's no imprinting, but yeah, they're welcome to drive on or ride through the shoulder. That space on the top right where it says varies, that's where we're planning, yes, we're putting the sidewalk. And on the north side, the sidewalk, the good thing is the terrain is not that drastic. It's kind of flat. So we will be able to put this sidewalk with minimal earthwork on that, on the northern side. And when we go to the next slide, you're going to see the south. That's the challenging one. And the reason being is not from the width or anything, but from the elevation. You see, you have a sudden drop going down because of the nature of the land on that area. And we need to kind of come up with, that's on top, you see existing condition. The bottom, where we're proposing a retaining wall. And there's many retaining walls we need to build here to make that elevation, so as to build a bank. And this is south is right here, if you want to see it in my back here, right here. So that's where you see the south. And from So we have geotechnical studies going on right now for this, and we'll design the wall to kind of support the sidewalk. Here, the stretch of the road. So if you can see, you see here, or even down there in the right side, we're starting at Oak intersection. That's where the starting point. And there's three colors. If you focus on the color, there's like red, which is the curb and gutter. We're putting a curb and gutter. There's kind of like light green and has like hashing. This one is the sidewalk, and you can see it also here. Yeah, that's the sidewalk coming from here, and some retaining wall. We have the dark green, that's the retaining wall. We don't have much retaining wall at the north, but we'll come back and explain when we get to the south. This is the continuation for all the segment, and some areas we need to kind of we do in all the driveways at the entrance for each house. So with the red, you see driveways. We need to kind of make it flat and follow the ADA requirement for American with Disability Act. And we put access ramp, and we'll put striping at all driveways. I'm sorry, drive or sections or roads. Here we get to the south, and you see here there's many retaining walls. The south is, as I said, is more challenging, which is one behind me right here. You can see starting from the southern part of Oak Drive, from the get-go, we have a retaining wall, multiple retaining walls, and this is kind of the biggest ones. And you can see here at the south, you see there's like an outfall and a pipe, and continuously here with riprap. So we have a major work done on the southern part. As you can see in the next slide. And now the project cost. And the cost side, the county, as I said earlier, is already funded the project, and phase 2 is come to $5.5 million. You can see it also in the slide behind Rebecca here, for the people with us in the room. And it's kind of the north, phase 3 is 10, I'm sorry, the north is phase 2, north 5.5, and phase 3 is the south, that's $10 million. And the breakdown, as you can see, engineering design cost for phase 2 is 1.5. The land acquisition is $1.5 million. Utility location is $500,000, and construction cost is $2 million. These together sum up to 5.5. Phase 3, the engineering design cost is $2 million. Land acquisition is $500,000, and utility location is $1 million, and the construction cost is 6.5. And the combined grant cost is $15.5 million. The project schedule, so as you can see, that's the timeline. The project started design at May 2024, last year. And after that, we done the 35% September 2024. And right now we at the first public meeting, which is today, January 30th, 2025. After this, we're going to mandatory referral for the county board to approve certain advisory committee in quarter 2025. And after that, we go into quarter 3. Will be the end of 2025. In 2026, the property acquisition should begin on the first quarter of 2026, and hopefully construction will start by quarter 3, 2026. And with that, I'll get it back to Kevin. Kevin?
Thank you. Thank you, Marasser. If you need to get into contact, we have my contact information right here, as well as my email below. The project website also listed right there. If you really need a shortcut, it's also just as simple as Googling Maryland 27 Sidewalk, and it will be the first website listed. And with that, I think we can start taking questions on any questions you might have on the design or any other aspect of the project. Yeah, so we'll start with the people here with us in the conference room, and then we'll cycle with the people online.
You're near there. There's a mic.
There's a microphone right there.
Speak, yeah. Please, your name and.
How you doing? Brian Durr. What are you planning to do at the driveways? You kind of briefly touched on it, but are you pulling up the front portion of the driveway to have the sidewalk go across?
Yeah, I can answer that. Yeah, go ahead and then we'll
Okay.
continue.
So the driveways would more or less be restored to where they are now, just to make sure that there's sufficient cross slope. So when you're transitioning from the new sidewalk through the driveway to the other side of the driveway, there wouldn't be any drastic slope differences. Because of course, our goal is to make sure that it's a safe, walkable sidewalk that people can use without any major changes or disruptions.
So
Sure.
let me add to that. This one works. Okay. Both works. Okay. So let me add to that. We are not replacing the driveway completely.
Sure.
We are reconstructing, again, reconstructing the portions of driveway that will be impacted by the sidewalk.
Sure.
Because as Moyasser said, we have to design and construct according to ADA compliance, right? So we have to make sure that we have a 2% slope. So we will replace the portion of driveway that will be impacted by the construction with the the same kind of material.
That's in the existing, not changing to the sidewalk material.
No,
Got it.
no. So if your driveway is in asphalt, we'll replace it with asphalt.
Perfect.
If it's a concrete, then we'll replace it with concrete.
Okay. Do you mind if I just finish up my questions?
Go ahead.
Okay. Is there any form of curb or vehicle protection for the sidewalk, or will it be at the same grade as the road? And I asked that on phase 2. We're at 25,705.
Yeah,
Um,
so your question is like, with the sidewalk completely down or up from the road?
Correct.
Yeah, that's the purpose why, if you go back to the slide, or I can
Speak over the microphone.
So the south, where you see here, the purpose we're building this wall to bring the sidewalk to the street level. It should be 6 inches above the street. That's the standard.
Okay.
If we're not doing that, we're keeping the sidewalk down. That's not a sidewalk anymore. That's a trail. You know what I mean? So
Correct.
if the reason that we call it sidewalk, it has to be on a level with the street. Like,
Right.
yeah, we're not in this in both south or north, but in north, the good thing, the condition work for us. It's not, we don't have up and down. It's level. That segment, which is phase 2.
Correct.
Yeah, no, north. Yeah, all that stretch is kind of level.
Relatively.
Relatively, yeah. I mean, not drastic. There's some retaining wall. You're right. So here at the beginning, I need to build 2 retaining walls. Those 2 segments, those 2 houses, yes. But the rest of it, no retaining wall, not needed. Versus that one, you have a lot of retaining walls to be built.
Right. So in our lawn, there's probably a 6-inch delta between the roadway and our lawn.
Yeah.
And we have a old and decrepit sidewalk currently there. So the question would be, are you going to regrade down to have the sidewalk or bring it up?
Well, I may not have the good answer now, because here's what happened. When I'm designing this, I have to go the whole stretch of the road. So from the beginning to the, like, let's say I have 500 stations, like 500 feet or 800 feet. I need to make sure from the beginning to the end, I'm not exceeding the slope.
Sure.
So, and which is like Rebecca explained, the ADA, so 2% cross slope and 5%. We need to make sure we are with that. So it depends. You maybe end up with minor cut or maybe fill, but we never want to have like up and down.
Sure.
That's not something we need to do.
And is there a means to prevent vehicles from mounting the sidewalk?
Oh, vehicle to drive. There's curb and gutter, so they should not. Yeah, there's curb and gutter.
Okay, so there is curb. Okay,
Yeah,
that was kind of the question.
There's the red. That's the curb and gutter.
Okay.
So we need to put a curb and gutter.
Okay,
Yeah.
just
No one
wanna make
should,
sure.
for sure. Yeah.
And then the last question is related to the acquisition costs. Can you explain what's included in that?
So if you know, I will talk and Rebecca will talk more. Here, maybe this is good explanation. You see this line, you don't want to ask the question. See this line, the white one? That's the property line. Here, we don't have problem with the property line, no much acquisition happening here. However, that segment from the beginning, we have a right-of-way issue because all this sidewalk, this segment will build on within the right-of-way. So we need to acquire the county, and we will have to acquire lands from the property owner up to that house. So for example, that's house in Wilson. From here, it's get back. That's the right of way. So the right of way varies, and the acquisition will happen for the homes that we have the sidewalk in their property.
Sure.
And that's why the county thought of this, and they have more money. If you notice, there's more money for 1.5 million
Right.
here because of that.
Correct.
Here, no much. Yeah. So hopefully Rebecca can.
First of all, I would just like to say, these estimate is only preliminary.
Sure.
Numbers will, it will change
Mhm.
as the design progresses. For phase 3, right now, we only anticipate what we call temporary construction easement that allows us to do grading just for the construction. Doesn't change the ownership of the land. It just allows the construction crew to get into the property and
Right.
construct it and get out. Whereas phase 2, we might need a what's it called perpetual easement in addition to temporary construction easement. Perpetual easement also doesn't change the ownership of the land, but it allows us to get into the property for any future maintenance work that's needed on the sidewalk or stormwater management facilities that might be located in the property.
So I'm thinking I'm hearing two different things. From your perspective, if you are in the north phase where our property line goes directly up to the road, the sidewalk is planned to go onto our property. The county will be acquiring that portion of land to put the county-owned sidewalk on.
Right. Well, if your sidewalk is, if the sidewalk is completely within
Yeah.
your, in a private property, then the county have to acquire through what's called fee simple.
Mhm.
That change the ownership of the land. So we treat sidewalk just like a road. So we take the ownership. So we will compensate the property owner based on the fair market value of the fee simple.
Sure. Okay, great. And do you have any idea when that process will occur?
That process, it's not going to be starting until when the design is close to 90%.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. I'm sorry. We will go take questions that's attending virtual. We're going to alternate taking questions between.
The questions keep coming here. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. So Lori, can you
We have one question in the chat, Rebecca.
Okay.
Let's see, Robert Bond wanted to know, how tall will the retaining wall on the south section be, and what material will it be made of?
So you want to answer that? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Good question. So the height varies on the south, but between 4 feet to 10 feet, that's what we have. So it could get up to 10 feet high. And the material it's going to be concrete material. We will use some design like spread footing system, and some we need to use post and panel where we're putting the retaining wall on the fill. So in top of my head, we number them. So retaining wall number 7 and I think 7 and 8 normally is be in fill. So this is going to be post and panel system with sliding concrete. So I hope I answered the question. That's so we can go. Yeah, ma'am, go ahead. We'll take one. Yeah, go ahead from there. Yeah.
This sidewalk is on top side of that retaining wall, right? So the sidewalk here, is on the street side level of the retaining wall, right? Correct?
That's not that one specifically.
Right here.
Yeah. Here the retaining wall. You see. Right here, no, it's flat because there's no retaining. This is the one that has the retaining wall. You see this dark green.
Okay,
Yeah, these the retaining wall, the dark green here.
okay.
But that one doesn't. No. But it doesn't need a retaining wall. Yeah. 2.5 feet in that area. Yeah, we'll look at it double, but not in our design right now. But that's what we think we need, the retaining wall. But we'll take note of that. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so first question, and I like to thank Lori because I too am concerned about the aesthetics of the retaining walls up and down the road because the current, there's some current retaining walls that DOT put in for ride-on, and they are not aesthetically pleasing. They're not something that you'd find in Bethesda or even Poolsville for that matter. So how it makes our community look, because you referenced an outdated master plan in which Parkett Planning is working on a new one for Damascus. And so I just want to make sure that we're not putting blocks of concrete in that aren't visually appealing for the purpose of this project. So that's one thing. The other thing that I'm concerned about are a lot of the families' homes along this right of way, including my own, have significant tree structure, like trees, tree canopy with 75-year-old plus trees. And a lot of the construction are going to be where the root structure of the trees are, especially if you're on the north side and you got winds that blow from, that are blowing from west to east, which are how our trees are used to accepting winds and storms and things. So if you weaken the root structure on that side of the trees, the likelihood that they're going to be able to withstand a big nor'easter is could be threatened. So what I didn't see in the plans that you sent were anything to consider the environmental impact on the trees by the construction. So that's something I want you all to consider. And you might not have an answer for today, but you need to think about before you continue with this.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
you
if I may answer the couple questions.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah. So the first question you asked about the aesthetic pleasing. Yes, we're thinking about that. And we, in our agenda, like to think of the design of because as I said, we had budgetary and earlier on 35% design. We're still going to 70% and 90 and 100. So, but yes, we thought about it. So this retaining wall, for example, where it's like 10 feet, it's kind of facing the people living here. However, like you see in the top, so if someone living in that area, definitely the pleasing is important.
That doesn't really represents one image and really doesn't represent my yard or a lot of the trees along the way. I appreciate you answering. I really don't believe you could answer the question at this time, but you can go ahead.
Yeah, you believe you.
Okay.
That's I can tell you what I'm
Okay.
thinking. Because I'm working in this project. So we thinking yes about the aesthetic pleasing. If it's facing a home right here, definitely we need to make sure that's fit. But if it's facing a forest, and we don't need to have aesthetically, it's a forest. Like but if it's facing your house, for sure. And if it's facing the people walking the sidewalk, definitely something we can. And there's a lot of like precast concrete that can have a nice
Okay.
structure, a nice aesthetic pleasing. That's something we
Okay.
can take. The second question about the landscape or the root zone. So we have a landscape company work with us,
Okay.
Flora Theater, and they thought of this. And for the trees, I am aware what you said. There's something called the structural root zone and critical root zone.
Uh-huh.
Structural root zone, that's the one near the tree. If you touch it, the tree will fall off. But the critical root zone, that's wider. It's not gonna, if you cut it, the tree will not fall, but it could maybe affect how it's put in water or live. We have this, and that's the drawing behind you. If you want to go, feel free. Landscape drawing right here. I think I can show you landscape 66. So we have it to show you the landscape. Yeah. So the trees, that's what you're concerned about, and these circle represent the major or minor. We have all that accounted for, and some of the trees gotta be removed, unfortunately, but some has to stay.
Share that
Yeah.
because I don't think it was in the plan. you
It's
sent to the house.
so
Okay.
Rebecca, yeah, but feel free to flip over. Yeah.
So ma'am, to answer your question, that 35% design plans are up on the project
Okay,
webpage.
perfect.
So that's accessible to anybody.
Okay, great. And the last question that I have is really about concern about the runoff, about putting the curbs in the area, because now where there's a lot of green, I should say, that absorbs a runoff from the road. My concern is that now if you're putting curb structure in, like particularly like Damascus Manor and Ridge Road, all that water funneling into an existing grass culvert, can it handle it?
So as a part of this project,
Yeah.
we're putting a new storm drain system new inlets that will collect the runoff from these new sidewalks, and it will be pipe it to the existing outfall.
Okay.
So and I think your concern is the flooding and then how to treat this excess runoff. And what I'm saying is we are designing storm drain treatment
Okay.
as part of the project, and that it's same for any CIP project we have.
Okay.
See these, ma'am? That's as Rebecca just explained, these are new run like inlet and with new connection and some manholes here. And we done calculation. It's just not, we have a calculation to calculate the impervious. And we also made some, still in the study, we could have an porous pavement system. That's the sidewalk the water will go seep through it and we'll put under drain pipe to collect the water and take it down. So we thinking of multiple options, not to cause any flooding.
And I understand that the sidewalk is a good thing, and so I appreciate it, but I've seen it when it doesn't work. And so I guess my concern is when the plans don't work and what do we do if it causes a problem? But the last thing that's really what my major concern is. If the runoff design doesn't work, because like right now you're saying into the existing structure, where I live, the existing structure is a grass culvert that's pretty much my yard that I maintain. I mean, I could look at the right of way. And so I can imagine, and I'm trying to picture, and I don't know, you're the expert, but I don't know, but I do know if you're funneling this a lot more water that was once spread out into a more specific area, and it's now going to go into my grass culvert, I don't know that it's a culvert that can maintain it. And so I'm more interested in understanding the plans for that. And I know it may not be able to be solved here today, and I need to go to the website and ask questions. But my final question will be, if the design for whatever reason doesn't work,
Then we'll rectify it.
then the county's going to rectify it.
Yes,
Okay.
then we'll rectify it. But a lot of times, the reason they don't seem to work is a lot of times is a maintenance issue. When the structure is not properly maintained, water doesn't drain properly.
Yeah.
So not knowing the exact location of the particular structure you're referring to, I can't answer that, but a lot of times it's a maintenance issue. So the maintenance has to happen. But like I said, if we find out that it's the design fault that the structure is not working, then we'll rectify it.
I appreciate that. And sorry, one final thing I promise. So the existing sidewalk, and I believe you may have mentioned it, there's an existing like old asphalt sidewalk that was put in. Now, if the new sidewalk is going to be at the top, is the county then going to take away the old sidewalk, or do they plan to just leave it?
Well, we're going to replace the old
Well, the
sidewalk.
old sidewalk, according to what you said, is at this lower elevation, and the new sidewalk's going to be on the top side of the retaining wall. So-
Okay, I mean, we can have two sidewalks, but
No.
we'll
So
have to take a look at it.
Move
Yeah, we'll have to look at the
Okay.
terrain and existing condition more carefully, and then we'll figure it out. But
Okay.
you can't have old and the new sidewalks at the
I
same
know,
time.
but thank you for bearing with me. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, anytime. So with this, let's turn it over to a virtual attendee that has a question. Lori, who's next? Anyone likes to speak directly instead of sending questions through chat?
No, I don't have any hands raised, but Robert Bone wanted to know, I just want to clarify, because I answered his question, but I want to make sure I was correct.
Sure.
The mailbox will be in front of the retaining wall, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because retaining walls are behind the sidewalk, so yeah.
Sidewalk, correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so we have a question from one of the in-person attendees.
Hi, I'm Andrew. My question was not for a homeowner
Could you
question.
please speak louder to the?
Oh, I'm
if
sorry.
you can.
My question is not for a homeowner question, but rather a user question.
Okay.
You mentioned briefly about crosswalks. Is there a plan to have a crosswalk at the southern end of Oak to join the phases together?
Where's the?
So that's the northern end of Oak.
So
Is
that
there-
right here. Yeah, I mean, it's the purpose of this is improving the connectivity of a ped and bike facilities. I mean, ped facilities here in this case. So there will be crosswalks. Even if you don't see it in the 35% design, that will be developed beyond the 35% design that you probably going to see in the 70% design.
Yeah, it would make sense to connect the phases together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then I guess my other question is the existing crosswalk, which is at the north end of Oak, has proven to be somewhat substandard. There was a child run over last year and seriously injured. maybe a consideration to beef that up since it's a major crosswalk for school children.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. We'll definitely, address that.
Hi, my name is Pam Armstrong. I've been a resident of Damascus for 36 years, living on this very busy road of Route 27, and watched the traffic and speed get worse and worse and worse. I run a business on Route 27. I have 2 driveways. I will probably have the highest retaining wall. And so I have some concerns about the retaining wall and the existing, again, trees that are lined up along my property and how much of that will be taken down with the retaining wall. And I guess when I spoke to you on the phone, you said the sidewalk will be 5 feet wide, right? 5 feet wide. And you said the existing culvert will not be replaced. What?
I said we put it under drain, under pipe, 15-inch HDPE pipe. But continue, yeah.
But that'll be under the driveway?
Under the driveway, yeah. You're not.
But the concrete culvert that's there existing will not be replaced?
Yes, if it's within the site. So I remember your house probably somewhere.
I'm
Yeah.
farther south.
Which, yeah, I remember I talked to you. You're in the south section, correct?
Yes, past Bloom Drive.
Here, probably, yeah, here, yeah. So
Yes,
this,
that
you're talking
would
about
be-
this little culvert right here. Yeah, so the sidewalk, the culvert, at this point, the wall, the pipe will start from here and take it all the way. So it's part of this culvert, yes, you still can see it. Part of the culvert right here is still that ditch or still, but once we trying to shift with the sidewalk, it gotta be with the pipe. So we can put 15-inch HDP, high density polyethylene pipe, and the pipe will go through all the way to the other side. So go ahead, yeah.
So will you be removing the driveways and replacing that, or are you gonna dig under the
It's
driveway?
still at 35%. There's multiple construction method you could do. You could make a trench and put it like steel plate, as you guys sometimes see. There's directional boring, which is cost more. I don't think we anticipate any directional boring for this part, but I cannot tell you exactly what the construction will be at this point. But yeah, we have multiple pipe gonna run underneath the driveway. So
Because the
Yeah.
existing culvert that is there right now, the concrete's all broken up.
okay.
I called the county multiple times to come and unplug the the pipe underneath. It's been a year. They haven't come out. So,
Okay.
I mean, that's all blocked up. And yeah, trees, leaves, sticks, trash. So that's a concern that that's not being replaced or covered over.
So we don't know for sure yet. I mean, if you want to look at the impact on your property, we can look at the 35% design plans together and then figure out what the limit of disturbance is, and then we can better answer your question.
Okay, and then I also saw on one of the plans that one of the drainage pipes from the, I guess from the retaining wall is on the south side. Well, every time I go to the mailbox which is on the right side, after a big rainstorm, it's all, eroded away. So I feel like, anyway, on my property. So
Your mailbox is your mailbox is because this is your property here and here. I think you can come closer if you want. Feel free. Yeah, that's fine. So that's your property, right here. And that's your second driveway. That's your first and second driveway. So the mailbox is
yes,
right here. Okay.
have a drainage pipe
Right, yeah.
down this.
Water comes here. And so the flow you see the arrow, it's flowing this way. So if the water comes this way, it's still gonna go. But you're saying your mailbox is flooded, or kind of, I mean, not flooded, but just like hard to.
Nothing, the water doesn't come on this side.
Okay, so Norman will take note of that and that house. So we'll look at it. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, we'll adjust that
Okay.
with the grading. Yeah.
A few more questions.
Yeah, sure.
Also, when I spoke to you, you said the retaining wall will have I think you said a ditch on the other side? Is
So
that,
yes, some retaining wall, we need, as you see, we have the pipe, like there's the ditch behind the wall to collect the water coming, because if the house, your house is high,
yes, it's
yes,
the
the
highest.
water will come here. So we don't want to cause water goes under the wall or causing structural issues. So the water has to be collected and drive to the final inlet condition. So the water should not be ponding behind the wall. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So will that be like a dip?
We're still thinking about it. We may put a pipe to kind of collect behind the wall, Norman, or grass line ditch, most likely.
Grass, so
Yeah.
it'll be
Yeah.
a divot.
We're just anticipating a grass line ditch for the time being for 35%.
Okay. And so the other question, if that's grass, who maintains that grass? Is that my responsibility as a homeowner or
If
is
it's in
that,
the, if the grass is within the county right away, county
will
maintains
come
it.
and cut that?
If the grass ditch is within the county right away, then we, the county, maintain it. But if it's not, then that will be the homeowner's responsibility.
All the county.
Right, because I have a
Yeah,
fence.
yeah,
I
so
have a
the-
fence right
well,
along the top of my property.
Yeah. It's will county will maintain it because there's a big, as I said, there's wider right of way here. So your line is right here. So that should be answered.
Okay. And then another question I had read somewhere that the sidewalks, it's your responsibility as a homeowner to keep them snow-free? Is that?
Correct. That's a county policy that is like a homeowner's responsibility to clear the snow within 24 hours.
So I have to go down and clear the new
Yeah.
sidewalk?
Yeah.
Okay. And to his point about Oak Drive, the southern portion,
Yes.
having a crosswalk there.
Right here.
Again, as a homeowner that's been there for 36 years, I cannot tell you how many accidents happen there with cars.
Okay.
I cannot imagine people trying to cross the street there. One time I crossed the street there and I feared for my life because Route 27 is not a 40-mile-an-hour road. Trucks and cars drive 60 miles an hour on that road. And I'm a veterinarian. I just recently had a dog that was hit by a car on this road and it's tragic. And I would be so upset to hear that a person was injured at that intersection. It's a very dangerous intersection. I think if you're going to have a sidewalk on I guess it's the east side, which I don't know why they don't have it on the west side to connect all that. So it's like a circle for people, and goes back up to the rec center and then back up to Oak Drive where there is a light there. I think having a sidewalk on the east side is the wrong project.
Yeah, I respect your, first of all, sorry for your dog. And it's definitely, we are human. We don't want to see any animal or human being get hit by a car or die, and sorry for that. And our purpose also in a county, just Rebecca will add, the county has something called Vision Zero plan. And a lot of counties in the United States has that. So the Vision Zero is to minimize zero accident. And they have an interactive map that you could look up. It can identify all the intersection. You may think the county doesn't work, but the county does work hard.
Mhm.
They have identified where accidents happen, and they have some like design to kind of mitigate the accidents. Like for example, like intersections, it may be reconfigured completely, not under this project, but possibly that intersection, if it has a lot of accident fatalities, they will come up with shorten the crosswalk. So the shorter the crosswalk, the less that you get hit. If I'm gonna cross from here 40 feet, a chance I'm get hit more. So what we come as an engineer design, we're gonna reduce, have a middle island, bulb out, so to make the crossing is shorter. And also to make it to the driver not to come take that turn with a fast speed. He gotta slow down. So these measures can be done, but as I said, as according to the county programs, and Rebecca can talk to that.
Yeah, one thing I can, I would say the reason that the sidewalk is on the east side or south side, however you can look at it, is the side of Damascus High School. Right, that's it. Yeah, it's a high school, right? We value the students' safety. We need to provide a safe route for the students to get to their school. So that was a one priority. That's what we said. Now, I mean, it might say elsewhere, it might make better sense to put the sidewalk on the other side of the road, but we wanted to avoid so many crosswalks as much as possible, unless we absolutely have to. So we put we put the sidewalk on the school side, east side. Hope that answered your question.
Well, again, I mean, there are 3 houses from Bloom Drive down to the South Oak intersection that are getting this $10 million project. And I think the majority of kids that are going to be walking to the high school would be coming from the Bloom Drive neighborhood, the townhouses up the street, and from the neighborhood across the street, the Spring Garden estates, where you do have a sidewalk now going to Baker Middle School and the rec center. And then you've got a light at that intersection for kids to cross the street and then would go up to the high school. So I understand that, and letting the kids walk to school. Back in, the 70s, I walked to school every day. I love walking to school. And I think it's great that our kids will be safer, because the sidewalk, I've had 3 kids go to Damascus High School. They had to get a bus right at the end of our street. I mean, end of our road driveway. But I've seen kids walk on both sides of the road, and I see one kid in particular with his basketball walking on the other side to go to the rec center. So going to the rec center, I think it's important for these kids from high school and from the middle school. And that's where I think the sidewalk should be helping those communities with their kids. I think it's more important that those connect than 3 houses on the south side of Bloom Drive. Okay. Thank you.
Can I follow up? Are you planning at the bottom of Oak Drive? Are you planning to put on some form of stoplight to go across that crosswalk?
You mean here?
No, the
Yeah.
farthest portion south.
The south
Yeah,
side. Yeah. Here, yeah, come please. Yeah, it's interactive. Yeah. Yeah. So this is right here. This is that. It's the same place. So as I said, it's 35%.
That's
There's
right.
only light. So
Yeah.
you're talking about here then. Yeah. Okay. So this is right here, right? Okay. But yeah, there's no light. So we can look at Rebecca about it.
Yeah, we'll look into it, but we also have to coordinate with the state, because it's a state road. So state has to approve that. Right.
If you're having a crosswalk, unless there's some means to tell people that people are about
Yeah.
to cross.
Like, was it Beacon Crossing? Like
Right, yeah.
Beacon?
And it could be traffic calming.
Right.
By having that there.
Yeah, thank you for the comment.
Especially given how frequently this feedback is, and even just driving into the library today, I think I saw 2 or 3 couples just walking on the shoulder, which obviously nobody wants to do. So it's definitely something that we at 35% are here to gather these comments and inputs, and we can move forward to incorporate in our next design phase. Yes, ma'am.
Not necessarily related, but important for DOT to know. So outside of this building, I'm glad you mentioned it. Right across the street, there's a new senior housing complex.
Yes.
And so the seniors cannot make it up the hill to the light to cross. So in the morning, they cross from the driveway of the senior housing complex, kind of diagonally to the driveway of this entrance. And that's really important for DOT to know, because even if it's a crosswalk in the pavement,
Right.
not, not ideal, but it makes drivers aware. But the seniors are crossing every morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're the second person here tonight to bring up that new senior apartment. So that's something we'll look into as well. Oh, two separate senior. Okay. Could you? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So I have no.
On 27. Yeah. It's, I can visual it, but do you know what the closest road is to it? Is that there? Yeah, so there's two new ones in here in Damascus. So there's the one on 27 that she's referencing, and then there's the one just across the street from this building, literally, I gotta think about what way we're facing right there. Yeah. The St. Anne's one is associated where there's a church property there. Yep.
I mean, that just solidifies another reason why that sidewalk needs to be on the other side, because those senior citizens have no way of walking. If they want to walk to the rec center, or if they want to walk into town and go to Weiss, they have no way of getting there. They have to cross Route 27. And that is dangerous. Yeah.
Take note of that, yeah.
Lori, do we have any more online questions since we've been answering these in person?
We do. We have a couple of comments, actually.
Okay.
Robert Bone says, I think the traffic will back up when I pull into my driveway now, since I cannot pull over until I get to the entrance. Will large trucks be able to come into my driveway?
Is the concern about building traffic a concern about not being able to pull over to the shoulder before making the turn?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess I would have to wait for the response.
Yeah, I think he's concerned about, like, if he gets a delivery and there's nowhere to pull over, would the delivery truck come into his driveway, I guess?
So the short answer, the new design, Lori, is I don't know exactly where his house, but the design or best practice will not block any driveway. We're not putting any like retaining wall in front of like a driveway or anything. So whatever the condition, if his driveway 15 feet, it's gonna stay 15 feet. If it's 20 feet wide, it's gonna stay. So we're not changing the layout of his driveway. That's not the. When we touched earlier about the driveways, it's just for the sidewalk walkability, like for the ADA. So we just talking about elevation up and down for the entire roadway, or like a sidewalk. In a way, that's just if it's high and we exceed the percentage of the cross slope, we need to dip down, or vice versa, but not widening or kind of shortening the driveway. I hope that answers.
Robert, I've unmuted him, so he would like to speak now.
Yes. Thank you, Lori, and thank you for answering my question, sir. I didn't catch your name exactly, but the concern I had is if I have the retaining wall on either side of my driveway. So how are they will they be able to pull in effectively without running into the retaining wall if they have a larger vehicle or something, right? I mean, so that's going to change their turning radius as they turn in instead of, I'm just curious about that. If there's going to be accidents like that and, people hitting the retaining wall coming into a driveway.
Sure. I got your question. So yeah, we're not going to make any like change to the way the turning radius will affect the turning or even the visual, because we follow the guideline for the design. So we make sure the auto turn will make sense and the turning radius according to the MDOT and Montgomery County DOT. So the retaining wall should not block the truck. If there's a truck already getting to your house, it should not block it at all. Yeah.
Okay.
So if, for example, if you have semi truck getting into it, it should be same semi truck. We're not gonna, if you have the 26 feet, which is the UPS, it should be turning also. But if right now we cannot get a semi truck angle, that's not gonna improve. That's gonna
Understood.
Yep.
Understood.
Yeah.
And thank you again for answering my question.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Lori, I think we can take another online question.
Actually, that was it.
Okay, perfect. Any more questions? I have this mic. It's okay. Any more questions? Any more questions in person here today? Any other comments or concerns? Yes, ma'am. It's just the microphone.
So will you be able to go back to the planning board and talk about these senior citizen concerns and some of the concerns that have been brought up tonight and reevaluate some of the plans? Or is it set in stone?
So after tonight's meeting, we'll go back and we'll assess the the sidewalk location, and we'll after that then we'll present to the planning board for mandatory referral. Because I mean, I understand, I mean, safety concern is definitely there, but we also have to, you know, I mean, I wasn't involved from the beginning of this project, phase one, because during the phase one, the previous project manager did the analysis investigation as to why he came to the conclusion that this east side makes sense more so than west side. Sometimes, in some cases, we choose the side because of the underground utilities, because relocating the underground utilities or overhead or utility poles are costly. So from the cost perspective, it's, you know, from cost perspective, we choose the side too, you know. So we'll have to do more investigation as to why the east side was selected as opposed to west side. So we'll take your comment, we'll reassess that, okay? Okay.
Thanks. Any other questions, or we almost 7:30, or yeah, 7:30, correct? Yeah.
Lastly, if you go up to that slide, let's say the comment. Oh, no. So, if you could, between now, I mean, we always welcome your feedback and comment throughout the design phase. But after tonight's meeting, if you have any additional questions or additional comments, please email to Kevin Min, who is the project manager, and his contact information is also shown on the project website. Tomorrow, by 5 p.m., the recording of tonight's meeting and the presentation slides will be available on the project website. You just need to Google Oak Drive or MD27 Sidewalk, and then this project website link will pop up. Anything else did I miss? Oh, okay. So, well, this is a part of the slides. So this is what's the only master plan? That's not Oak Drive. Okay. Yeah, some sources are on the references that you can see in the presentation slides. So, well, thank you very much for your time, and
Rebecca,
yes.
I actually do have one more question.
Okay, go ahead.
From Kathy Mullaney. she wants to know if the breakdown lane is going to disappear. I'm not sure.
Do you mean the shoulder?
The shoulder, is that what you mean, Kathy?
Yeah, the shoulder in our design is still going to be maintained. We just have the sidewalk outside of the shoulder so that it would be some sort of buffer between active traffic and the pedestrians. Assuming that's what she means by breakdown lane.
Okay. Yes, she said that she's going to email you directly, Kevin.
Okay, that works. And for everybody else online, again, please feel free to email me. If you need to reach the project website, it's literally as simple as a Google search for MD27 Sidewalk, and it'll be the first link. If you hit the Contact Us/Participate tab, there's a link to the comment form, as well as my contact information. And if there are no more questions in person, going once, going twice. All right, I think we can call it a night. Thank you all so much for coming out. And thank you online for joining.